Hey guys, today we're going to be reviewing, or I guess talk about, a series in which I definitely did talk about before. If you see my one review video, or not review, ranking video, um, and almost all my reactions too. Anyway, so we're gonna be reviewing, this series called SpongeBob Horror Problem. It's basically just like those horror SpongeBob, um, horror stories that you would find on YouTube sometimes. It's basically like one of those. But in this story, there's this creepy SpongeBob doll or possessed SpongeBob doll that goes around killing people, basically. Um, and then there's people left and right that are surviving, and some actually surprisingly are the bad guys. So yeah, and we'll get into that later. But so yeah, so you kinda have to watch it for yourself. I'll link it in the description. But so yeah, so I guess we'll start by what happens. I already kind of explained it, but there's a bunch of lore, and by the way, Mr. Krabs is actually again the bad guy. Um and same with Squidward, but he has some sort of um like a curse, kind of like a curse, where he sees SpongeBob and Patrick, I think, as like some sort of that he sees them as the bad guys. So he's trying to kill them. So yeah. But yeah, and now to my good and bad things. I mean, I know that was already quick, but so the bad thing is, um, there's just so many lore and stuff, and there's so much to explain. Like, that's why I did not do that well on explaining, what the series actually is. I'm gonna be honest, probably got a lot of things wrong, but I know there's supposed to be so much lore and stuff like that. But I mean, Five Nights at Freddy's wouldn't even go this beyond. So it's kind of hard to explain. But yeah, so um it's and now the good things. I think like the remastered version he did, which is definitely better than the old one. Because, like, in the original series, there's, like, some sort of helper that showed up, and for some reason, it was a minion for some reason. So, yeah. That would be even much more harder to explain. But, yeah, and, the characters are cool. There's definitely good editing and stuff. He's making, like, drawings of them that look creepy and stuff, and I think that's really cool and stuff. There's sometimes references to other SpongeBob like creepypastas or horror stories. Um Another good thing about the series is that some of the episodes are pretty decently long, and some of them are pretty decently short. Like, I will admit, though, some of them are a little bit too long, but some of them are pretty good with, like, the length and stuff. So, yeah. And lastly, the intros are pretty good, even though there's a lot of, kind of intros and like horror story stuff. But, it's good and stuff. And I know I already mentioned this before, but again, the editing is really good and stuff. He edits on KineMaster like what I do. So, and there's like he does sometimes do effects that I didn't even know were on there. So, yeah, and they definitely look really good and stuff. And there's sometimes realistic soundtracks, mostly in the old version, but there was like soundtracks like door knocking that would definitely get me. So that was pretty cool. And the remastered is still pretty good with the editing and stuff. So yeah. And the soundtrack is pretty good too. There's a lot of there's SpongeBob music and and creepy original sounds. Well, they're from KineMaster, but it's just original soundtracks and stuff, and that's honestly pretty cool. The fact that he adds his own soundtrack to it, which I definitely should be learning, honestly, if you look at my stuff. But anyway, enough about my stuff. Um, but yeah, the soundtrack is pretty good. Sometimes he does it like maybe he'll like get like a SpongeBob music or something, and he would find like a version that's creepy, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? But yeah, the soundtrack is good. Lastly, here's some like maybe tips and stuff. So yeah, if you do like maybe a maybe like a sequel or some, he did tell me he wanted to do a sequel, so maybe if he does, maybe kind of, how I said about the whole lore being too much, and again, I know it's necessary and stuff, like, but when like all this lore that's already happening right now, what I mean, if it dies down or like if it ends kind of, I don't know, just die down with the lore a little. I know it's supposed to be there, but it's kind of hard to follow, at least for me. And it probably is hard for someone out there too. So, yeah. So, there's tip 1. And then here's tip 2. Maybe for more like scary atmosphere, you could find somewhere like where the recorder, where he's at. Maybe he could find like some sort of place where he lives, where it's kind of look like woods a little bit. Maybe outside, but like if it was like dark and raining and stuff, and then there was like a chase scene or something, that would be really cool for like good atmosphere. If it helps, that's kind of like a tip. Maybe it'll fit somewhere in the story. I don't know, but it's like an idea. Maybe you could like record in the rain or something at nighttime. Um, of course, if he gets the approval. But so yeah, that's all the tips. So yeah. Alright, so that's my review of SpongeBob Horror Problem. I know it was kind of short, but yeah, so that's gonna do it for this video. Hope you enjoyed. The actual series is linked in the description. And yeah, see ya.